A recruit stands in front of a 70-ton M1 Abrams tank for the first time. The gas turbine engine screams at 1,500 horsepower. The machine is 8 feet tall, covered in composite armor a foot thick. He climbs inside. The space is smaller than a closet. 3 other people are crammed next to him. This metal box will be home for the next 12 weeks. But before he ever touched this machine, he spent 10 weeks learning to carry weight, his own body over obstacle courses, 50 pounds on his back for miles, the discipline to function on 5 hours of sleep, the precision to eat 4,000 calories in 10 minutes. Understand a simple truth: you don't survive alone. You survive because 3 other people are carrying you, and you're carrying them. This is how the Army builds a 4-person crew that can live, fight, and endure inside a weapon system that weighs more than 10 cars. The first weight is your own body. At Fort Moore, Georgia, recruits begin one-station unit training, a 22-week program that combines basic combat training with specialized armor crewman skills. The first 10 weeks are identical to what every Army soldier experiences, regardless of their job. The philosophy is non-negotiable. You are a soldier first, a tanker second. The obstacle course is where that lesson starts. The tough one is a rope climb followed by a traverse across a high beam. Recruits must pull their full body weight up 20 feet of rope, then walk a narrow log suspended in the air. The physical demand is secondary. The real test is conquering the fear of falling. The Weaver forces recruits to thread their bodies over and under a series of inclined logs, building upper body strength and spatial awareness. These movements aren't arbitrary. Inside a tank's hull, you'll navigate sharp angles and tight spaces. The obstacle course is teaching your body to move in 3 dimensions under pressure. Physical readiness training happens before sunrise every morning. The program is designed around functional fitness, climbing drills, crawling movements, and sprinting exercises. This isn't bodybuilding. It's preparing your core and limbs for the specific biomechanics of armored warfare. Low crawling under barbed wire during PRT translates directly to maneuvering through the confined interior of a tank turret. When a recruit pulls themselves over the final wall of the confidence course, they've learned something critical. Their body can do more than they thought. That confidence becomes essential months later when they're troubleshooting a hydraulic failure in the dark, under time pressure, with their crew depending on them. Week 6 introduces a different kind of weight. The Ruck March loads 40 to 50 pounds onto your back. A rucksack packed with gear, plus your weapon and additional equipment. You march for miles over uneven Georgia terrain. Your shoulders ache. Your lower back cramps. Your feet develop hot spots that will become blisters if you don't recognize them early. This is where pain management becomes a survival skill. Experienced soldiers learn to identify the moment a hot spot forms, the friction point that signals a blister is developing. They adjust their socks, apply moleskin, or change their gait slightly. Ignoring a hot spot means a debilitating blister that can take you off your feet for days. The Ruck March teaches you to listen to your body's warning signs and respond before damage occurs. Hydration is enforced as rigorously as any tactical drill. Recruits carry 1 or 2 full canteens at all times. Drill sergeants order water breaks constantly and monitor urine color as a diagnostic tool. Clear urine means proper hydration. Dark yellow means you're falling behind. Dehydration in the field can cripple an entire platoon, so the Army makes water intake a matter of discipline, not choice. The mental component of the Ruck March is more brutal than the physical. The weight doesn't change, but your perception of it does. At mile 2, the pack feels manageable. At mile 8, it feels like it's crushing your spine. Your mind starts bargaining. Just stop for 1 minute, adjust the straps, take the weight off. The lesson is learning to push through that mental negotiation and keep moving. For future tankers, the Ruck March serves a specific purpose. Inside the turret, the loader's job is to lift 50-pound main gun rounds repeatedly in a cramped, moving space. The Ruck March is building your back and legs for that exact demand. It's also teaching you that endurance isn't about strength. It's about managing discomfort and refusing to quit when your body wants to stop. The platoon's shared barracks space is governed by extreme regulation. Every morning, recruits make their beds with hospital corners so tight that a quarter can bounce off the blanket. Footlockers are arranged with items in precise positions, inspected daily by drill sergeants. Uniforms hang at exact intervals. Boots are polished to a mirror shine. This isn't about cleanliness. It's about loading your mind with automatic discipline. When you're performing pre-combat checks on a tank, One missed step can disable the vehicle or kill your crew. The barracks routine trains your brain to execute standardized procedures without thinking, even under stress. The muscle memory of making a perfect bed translates to checking fluid levels, inspecting track tension, and verifying ammunition loads. Sleep becomes a rationed resource. Recruits average 5 to 6 hours per night. The schedule is deliberately unpredictable. Some nights, drill sergeants conduct surprise inspections or fire drills at 2 a.m. The chronic sleep deprivation serves a purpose. Combat doesn't wait for you to be rested. You must learn to function in a degraded mental state. The cognitive load increases as training progresses. Recruits memorize rank structures, radio protocols, weapon specifications, and land navigation techniques. This information must be instantly accessible under pressure. The barracks environment builds the mental endurance to process complex information while exhausted. The weight here is psychological. Your mind is being trained to operate under constant low-level stress, to maintain precision when every instinct says to cut corners. For a tanker, this mental load is preparation for managing multiple radio nets, navigating cross-country, and directing a crew simultaneously, all while sleep-deprived and under fire. At the dining facility, the DFAC, recruits consume between 3,500 and 4,500 calories per day. The catch: you have 10 to 15 minutes to eat, in silence, sitting in formation. This isn't cruelty. It's training for time-compressed refueling during combat operations. The food is nutritionally engineered by Army dietitians to sustain high physical output. There's a main line with hot entrees, a salad and fruit bar, and drinks. For a recruit who's been training for 8 hours, the DFAC is a brief sanctuary where the body gets what it desperately needs. The time constraint changes the relationship with food. You learn to eat for fuel, not pleasure. You prioritize high-calorie items. You develop a system, carbs first for immediate energy, protein second for muscle recovery. This efficiency becomes instinctive. In the field, the system changes. The MRE meal ready to eat is a self-contained pouch delivering approximately 1,200 calories. Each includes a main entree, side dish, crackers with a spread, dessert, beverage powder, and an accessory packet with condiments, coffee, a spoon, and toilet paper. The critical component is the flameless ration heater. It's a plastic sleeve containing magnesium and iron powder. Add water, and the chemical reaction generates enough heat to warm the entree in about 10 minutes. In cold, wet field conditions, a hot meal is a psychological lifeline. Experienced soldiers field strip their MRE, removing bulky packaging and discarding items they won't eat, keeping only high-calorie components. This reduces weight and saves rucksack space. Hydration remains a constant discipline. Water is carried in canteens or 5-gallon cans strapped to vehicles. The lesson from basic training, monitor your urine, drink before you're thirsty, becomes a survival reflex. Dehydration degrades cognitive function faster than hunger. A dehydrated crew makes mistakes. Mistakes in a tank are fatal. The loader's position inside the M1 Abrams turret is where every prior weight converges. The 120mm main gun fires rounds that weigh approximately 50 pounds each. In combat, the loader must retrieve these rounds from storage racks, lift them, align them with the breech, and ram them home. All while the tank is moving at 30 miles per hour, the turret is rotating to engage targets, and the hull is bouncing over rough terrain. This is not a task you can fake. If you drop the round, you've disabled your tank's primary weapon. If you're too slow, the enemy shoots first. If your technique is wrong, you can injure yourself or damage the breech mechanism. The Ruck marches built your back and legs for this. Carrying 50 pounds on your back for miles trains the same muscle groups you now use to lift a 50-pound round dozens of times per engagement. The difference: on a Ruck march, the weight stays on your back. As a loader, you lift it, move it, and place it with precision, over and over, under extreme time pressure. The barracks discipline shows up here. Loading the main gun has a specific sequence. Open the blast door, retrieve the round, align it with the breech, ram it forward, close the blast door, and announce, "Up." Every step must happen in the correct order, without hesitation. Misstep, and the gun doesn't fire. Physical readiness training prepared your core strength for the constant bracing required inside a moving turret. When the tank accelerates, you're thrown backward. When it breaks, you're thrown forward. When the turret rotates, centrifugal force tries to pull you off balance. Your core muscles and leg strength keep you stable enough to handle a 50-pound round safely. The loader position is where the team dynamic becomes undeniable. The gunner can't engage targets without you. The tank commander can't direct the crew if you're injured. The driver's life depends on the main gun suppressing threats. You are one part of a 4-person system, and if you fail, everyone dies. The driver sits in a semi-reclined position in the front hull, maneuvering 70 tons through a set of periscopes. They can't see threats. They rely entirely on the tank commander's directions. When the TC says, "Driver, move out," the driver accelerates without knowing what's ahead. Trust is mandatory. The gunner controls the 120mm main gun and the coaxial machine gun using thermal optics and a complex fire control system. They can identify and engage targets, but they can't load the gun. The loader feeds the weapon, the gunner pulls the trigger. Neither one functions alone. The tank commander stands in the open hatch or buttons up inside during combat and serves as the crew's brain. They navigate, communicate on multiple radio nets with other tanks and command elements, and direct the crew's actions. They see the battlefield. The crew sees their small piece of it. The TC synthesizes everything and makes decisions. During one-station unit training, recruits rotate through the driver, loader, and gunner positions. This rotation teaches a critical lesson. Your job is only 1/4 of the system. Understanding what the other positions require makes you a better crew member. When you've been the loader, you understand why the gunner needs you to be fast. When you've been the driver, you understand why the TC's directions must be clear and immediate. When you've been the gunner, you understand why the loader's technique matters. The rotation builds empathy, which builds cohesion. Crew cohesion is enforced through proximity and stress. Inside the turret, you're in constant physical contact with the other crew members. The space is smaller than a closet. Communication happens through the CVC helmet, a combat vehicle crewman helmet with a built-in intercom system. You hear every breath, every command, every mistake. There is no privacy. This intimacy under stress creates friction. Personalities clash. Frustrations boil over. Trainees must learn to resolve conflicts immediately because unresolved tension in combat is fatal. The Army forces this lesson by putting crews through long field exercises where escape isn't possible. You learn to apologize quickly, to communicate clearly, and to prioritize the mission over your ego. The weight here is emotional and psychological. You're carrying the knowledge that your survival depends on 3 other people, and their survival depends on you. That burden is heavier than any physical load. It's also what makes a tank crew effective. 4 individuals become one organism. The motor pool is where tankers learn their most unglamorous truth. Maintaining the M1 Abrams is what keeps you alive. Breaking track is the hardest physical task. The tank's treads, massive steel links weighing hundreds of pounds per section, must be removed for repair or replacement. Trainees use sledgehammers and enormous wrenches to disconnect the track, pull it off the road wheels, inspect it, and reinstall it. This happens in Georgia heat and can take hours. Your hands blister, your back aches, sweat soaks through your uniform. But the lesson is absolute. If the tank can't move, you're a stationary target. Daily maintenance includes checking engine fluids, oil, coolant, and hydraulic fluid, cleaning air filters to keep debris out of the gas turbine engine, troubleshooting hydraulic leaks in the turret rotation system, inspecting electrical connections that power the radios and the fire control computer. One forgotten fluid check can cause engine failure. One loose electrical connection can disable communication. The barracks discipline, where a poorly made bed results in punishment, translates directly here, where a poorly performed check results in death. The motor pool teaches patience. Complex mechanical problems require systematic troubleshooting, checking each component in sequence until you find the failure. This methodical thinking under pressure is the same discipline required during combat. Panic solves nothing. The weight here is responsibility. The tank's readiness is your responsibility. If it fails, your crew dies. That knowledge drives every tedious fluid check, every bolt tightened, every track link inspected. This is where wars are won, not in firefights, but in the exhausting work of keeping a war machine functional. The final test of basic combat training is called the Forge. a 96-hour field training exercise that runs continuously with minimal sleep, designed to prove that recruits can function when every system is breaking down. The Forge begins with a long ruck march at night. Recruits carry their full combat load over miles of terrain, navigating with maps and compasses, moving from checkpoint to checkpoint as a platoon. If one person falls behind, the entire unit stops and waits. The lesson is immediate. You carry each other. After the march, they run assault lanes, simulated combat scenarios requiring them to react to enemy contact, provide cover fire, and maneuver under pressure. Sleep is rationed in 2-hour blocks. Just as you fall asleep, you're woken for the next mission. Chemical attack drills force recruits to don protective masks in under 9 seconds while choking on CS gas, a tear agent that burns the eyes and lungs. Buddy aid exercises simulate casualties, requiring them to treat wounds on teammates using their medical training. Sleep deprivation degrades decision-making. Simple tasks become difficult. Navigation errors multiply. But the exercise continues. There is no pause, no timeout, no escape. You function or you fail. By hour 72, recruits are operating on instinct. Muscle memory takes over. The discipline drilled into them during barracks life keeps them moving. The physical conditioning from ruck marches and PRT sustains their bodies. The crew mentality, built through shared suffering, keeps them supporting each other. The final march back to base happens at sunrise on day 4. Recruits are exhausted, filthy, and operating on fumes, but they're moving as a unit. When one person stumbles, the person next to them grabs their ruck and helps carry the weight. This isn't a command from a drill sergeant, it's instinct. The Forge proves the training's thesis. The weight you carry is never just physical, it's the discipline to function under extreme stress. It's the knowledge that your survival depends on the person next to you. It's the mental endurance to push through when your body and mind are screaming to quit. For future tankers, the Forge is preparation for weeks in the field, living on their tank, sleeping in shifts, maintaining the machine under combat conditions. When recruits complete the Forge, they've earned the title of soldier. They're not tankers yet. That comes after 12 more weeks, but they've proven they can carry the weight. They've proven they can carry each other. That's the foundation everything else is built on. By the end of 22 weeks at Fort Moore, a recruit has been fundamentally redesigned. They've learned to carry their own body over obstacles that seemed impossible. They've marched miles with 50 pounds on their back, teaching their muscles and mind to function through pain. They've absorbed the discipline to eat efficiently, sleep minimally, and maintain precision under exhaustion. They've lifted 50-pound rounds in a cramped turret, understanding that speed and technique keep their crew alive. They've learned that a 70-ton tank is only as strong as the 4 people inside it, that the driver's trust in the commander, the loader's speed for the gunner, and the crew's cohesion under fire are what separate survival from death. They've spent long days in the motor pool covered in grease, learning that a forgotten fluid check can turn their armored protection into a metal tomb. Most critically, they've learned that survival isn't about individual strength. It's about carrying each other when the weight becomes too much. It's about functioning as one organism when every individual part is breaking down. The U.S. Army doesn't train tankers by putting recruits in tanks and teaching them to drive. It trains them by progressively loading weight, physical, mental, psychological, onto their bodies and minds until they understand that the heaviest burden isn't the rucksack, the round, or the machine. It's the knowledge that 3 other people are depending on you and you're depending on them. That's the weight that forges a crew.